What I'm going to talk about is bash scripts. Any command that's done in the terminal can be executed in a bash script. Now, one of the examples is the path. I have a script that's called path. It does several things for me. Now, what a path is this is a path right here, and then we have full colon, and then this is another path. So as you can see, there's several paths. Now, the way a path is done is we'll look at the path script, because right here, this is the path that I'm using. It says path in use is this path right here. My path command does this. We'll see this in a second. Path I'm in is right here, and these are my scripts. And this particular script right here is located right here, so we're going to cat this script. /path. This is your very first line in your bash scripts. You got your pound sign or sharp, and then you got your exclamation mark. A lot of times it's called shebang, sharp bang. Then you got the bin directory and the bash directory. What this whole thing is telling us is what language we're going to use to interpret everything that we've written down here. We go all the way down to here. This is the actual command that path is using. So if you type this command in to our terminal, this is what we get. Okay? So then if we type in our script, we get the same thing. Now the advantage to using a script is to be able to remember, like you go like, well, I want the path. What's the path on this computer? Oh yeah, I just type in path because I wrote the script for it instead of remembering the whole command. Now that's not much. I remember this command anyway, but it's easier just to punch in path. The other thing that it does is which path did I use to put my scripts in. If we go up here, echo space, the space does this right here. There's a space here. Echo path in use, path that I use, which is this right here. So echo, you got your quotes on either end, gives you this right here. That's all that's doing. Then the next command does a list. This is a list, that directory, and it tells me what's in that directory, which happens to be where I'm putting my scripts. This is really all that I really need, but up here we have a help command. So a help command is a function, so put in a function. Then from here all the way down is our help, and our actual help is from here to here, and then this is end of file. This is the start of the file, and this is the actual file or script that tells us what the help is. So if we typed in, now how do we get to help? If we typed in a --h in this location, I'll show you what that is in a minute, then we get to help, and then we exit. See what that does. Path --h, and we get the help statement. What we're doing here is it says string 1 equals, it has to equal the --h, then we go to the help. If it doesn't, it falls through. This is the end of the if statement. If the if statement falls through, then we start doing everything else in here. When we type in path, or we type in any script, okay, this first location is the string 1. You have another location here. Let's do this. We go path --h. Now there's another location here. This would be string 2. You don't type this in. And string 3. And I'm not sure how far out it goes, but it goes quite a ways. So you could actually have different things in your script for these different locations. This location has to be filled first before you can use this one, and so on. My path only goes to one location. Actually, it goes all the way out, but it only sees one location. So we're going to control C out of that. Now let's look at a few other things here. So let's clear the screen. Our location is, this is where our path is that we're using. This is path. Present location is home golden. What we need to do if we wanted to edit this, or if we wanted to make a new one, then we need to go sudo we can go to this directory right here. You can cd it, or we can just go right to it. And then /path. Oops, I did this wrong. Like I said, very first line. Now this is Nano. We can scroll up and down with a mouse roller. We can go up and down with arrow keys, or you can page. We exit out by using control. This is the control key right here. This is the X key to exit. We can write the same way. Control O for write. What that does is if we make a change in here and we want to write it, we can actually use another terminal to test it out with. So we don't have to be in the same terminal. We can be in here and use path. So we can modify it in here and then do it over and test it over here by just writing out. Okay, so let's see. Let's change this here. Change it to 3. So if we go control exit, now we can write it if we want. But if we go control exit, it says, do you want to save to the buffer? So you want to save it. Y. If you don't want to save it, just N. So at this point, I don't want to save it. I want to leave it the way it was. So I hit N and it exits. That's how you use Nano. Let's take another look at my scripts. I have allow SSH, which allows SSH on this computer, or deny SSH that quickly. Directory pulls up a program that wasn't in this menu. It is now. These are interesting. You got Pine64B and Pine64 to SSH. Now what I was doing is into the Pine phone, and it's programmed two different ways. I used 2 different cards. So I essentially had 2 different programs. All right, and then this one is the same thing. It SSHs into my server. We're going to take a look at this right here. Now, why would you do this? Okay. Cat this thing again. When I copy this in, I'm using the Control Shift key and the V key. Copies it in. This is something that you should do, or is a good idea to do. You got your bash statement again, but also got the date. Anything after the pound sign is a note. Here we have a note of why we did it. Okay, so update the logon on 5/12/22 because of a crash due to mess up with updates. I know what that was, but we're not going to go into it. So anyway, SSH. Okay, SSH into Dragon Manjaro -arm. Let's see, was it Dragon or was it Dragons or was it Manjaro and there was something between Manjaro and ARM? It's easier to remember that it's a Pine 64. Get what I'm saying? Easier to remember than this. This is pretty simple and it's pretty easy to do, but this one is a little bit more complicated. I don't want to open it up and get into it because it gets into some security issues with SSH. This script allows you in where something like this will not. You can't just log into the Lucid computer with a simple SSH. So there's a little bit more to it in order to get you in. We're not going to open it up, but that's another reason why to do it. What was it I put in between here? What was the syntax? How was it in? What was it? It's already done for me. So I just type it in and away it goes. This one will actually work. Whoops. So we're going to say yes to this. Yes. And then we need the password. And we're in. Now we're in another computer. It's that easy. If we did it again, say, we're only going to answer yes to that once. And it wants the password again to get into Lucid Nightmares. So Lucid Nightmares, I'll show you that this doesn't work. We're going to copy this. Control C. SSH. Lucid Nightmare. We don't need the .local. It just hangs. There's more to that script. Okay, let's try it again. We'll get rid of the .local. Say, just hangs. You can't just straight SSH into this computer. The script deals with something else, so you can SSH into it. Let's do oh, we can't ping that. We can ping this. Computer's really there. All right, so much for showing off. So we covered how to write a program. We need this as the first line. You don't need a help. You don't need all this. You don't need all that in there. That's only to make a help. And then you need this right in here. If statement to access the help. If you want a script, well, let's just do this again. Say no help. This is all you need for a script. All you need is your command. Notes are a good idea because it gives you why you made it. And the date is when. This was this year. Okay, so let's look at another script. Now these two are interesting. Spacebar and underscore. Now if we go over here, we can see another reason for using a script. So this is a copy command -U and R. U means update. So we're going to take this and update this with it. So if this is older than this, we update. If this is older, this here is older than this, we don't update. That's what the U is for. R is recursive. Now if you look over here, you have a underscore. Now if you don't have an underscore, you need a quote here and a quote here. That can run into problems, especially if you have a space in this section, because then you have to use a different quote, and sometimes it doesn't like it altogether. Easiest way to do it is just to use an underscore. Scripts are system-wide, and you're in the root directory right here. This is the root directory. Then you go user, local, and games. These are all paths. User, local, games. This is the path. And this is all my scripts are in this path. So spacebar and underscore are also accessed by shortcut keys. So if we go over here, go keyboard. I cover this in another video. Application shortcuts. So if we go underscore, you can't really see that right there. Let's do this and we'll make it so you can see it. Underscore. Shift Control Space. Now the space bar is going to be Shift Control underscore. See that? It's an underscore. Let's make this bigger. Shift Control underscore. And then this is for the space bar. Underscore it Shift Control Space. So what that's doing is this space bar right here. This space bar is this right here. So let's get rid of both of these right now. What that means is that when I'm using a copy command, I can put in underscores without even thinking about using shift underscore in order to get it. Hi there. As easy as hitting the space bar with the control shift down. Now it is. System wide. No terminal had to come up in order to do that. It just executed it. Executing it in the terminal will execute in the terminal. Sounds funny. But if you're not in the terminal when you use your scripts, they will not open a terminal to use the script. Yeah, now it's a space bar. One other thing I need to mention. I am in the home golden directory. When you make let's just make this easier. So just change directories. LL. Each one of these has an X. This is your root privileges, group privileges of root, because this is your group and this is your user. That's who we are or who this is for. And then this is for everybody else. So everybody else can read the file. They can't write the file. They can execute the file. If the file is in this directory, and it happens to be we're in that directory right now, then we can go /path. It executes the file. We don't need the dot slash, and we're getting rid of the dot slash. Remember, we were not in this directory. See, this directory is, right, we use path. So we're not in this directory. We're not here. We're here. So that's what path does. So it makes it so you can execute it system-wide. That's what we did over here. This is system-wide. Someplace else on the system. Now the other thing is that path, okay, path needs to be executable. So we're going to make it so it's not executable. -x path. Okay, so now if we go path, permission denied. As soon as you create your program in Nano and execute it and save it, it's not going to be executable. It's going to look like this. No X's. It's also going to be a different color. Maybe. So what you need to do is to put a plus here. Changes executable. I think this about covers it. This is why I use scripts and how I use the scripts. The scripts that I use all the time are these scripts here. There are other scripts I use. Scripts on servers, scripts doing other things. There's a LL script, which I haven't been using LL script here. This is the LL alias that's on this particular computer, and you can write your own aliases. But in this particular instance, wouldn't let me do the LL command on a different Linux installation that I had. It's an older installation, so in other words, I got the command I wanted, and I got it to work the way I wanted it to work. Again, if you look at this, here is the string 1 and the string 2 I was talking about. So string 1 equals string 2, go ls-alf. This is the alias, but the alias wouldn't go to another directory. Now, it normally does on Linux, but in this particular Linux it didn't. So I put the other directory into the string 1. Remember what I said about that? There's a location here, a location here. So I compared those two locations that are the same, they equaled. Then it just did the straight command. They didn't equal, they had an address in it, like this right here. Then it would show this, it'd do the list on this directory. Now, normally you don't have to do that, but in this case, I needed to do it. Another reason why using scripts. So your reasons may be different. Hopefully they are. Hopefully maybe you can get something from it like path and SSH. It's much easier to remember the name of the computer, like Lucid. Lucid is actually the user on that computer. It's easier to remember that than it is to remember what the way in is, because you can't just get into that computer with an SSH. So if you like this video, then give me a like, and thank you for watching this video.